What is up, guys? Fans of the NFL and, well, non-fans of the NFL as well that want to watch us here on the NFLCymru podcast. Noswaith da, good evening. It is a Wednesday evening. We are officially into week 2 of training camp 2025 by now. And again, we are the beginning of the preseason is fast approaching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for following us so far in our, well, technically our maiden season on the pod, on the NFLCymru podcast, because we only started towards the end of last season. So this is our first official full season. If you've watched us before, you know who we are. I'm David. I'm based in South Wales. And if you're wondering who's on the other side of the screen, it is Gito. However, he's a massive transformation, and he is looking proper sharp this evening, Gito. Not like that.
Not with that, David. Thank you for that lovely introduction. Since you mentioned we're becoming closer to the new season, it's kind of New Year's for us, so it's a new year, new me. So, thought I'd get a little bit of a fresh up going on, and I'm glad you like the look of it.
Smooth, very smooth. Fair play. So like we said, we're into second week of training camp. Lots to talk about, Gito. Obviously, you know, we've got positive things going on, and unfortunately, this is the beginning of when we're going to have to start listing unfortunate injuries as well, and we're going to talk about a list of those already very, very shortly. However, Gito, another thing that we're going to be finishing, we're going putting to an end the mini series that we've been doing over this off season, over the last couple of weeks, which is we're going to finish off ranking each division in the NFL. So the last 2 divisions we've got left are the NFC East and the NFC West. Personally, for me, one was easier than the other. Stay tuned for that. That's going to be towards the end of the podcast. We've got a few news items to get through, and like we said, injuries. However, Gito, we're going to start off with some blockbuster extensions. Shall we start off with Rashawn Slater of the LA Chargers? He is now the highest paid offensive lineman in the NFL, I believe. Tell us about his contract.
So. Yeah. Left tackle of the Chargers, Rashawn Slater. Highest paid tackle with a $114 million 4-year extension, which is absolutely crazy money. Bit of a trend going on these days. Big money for big players. And a second one we've had as well. Broncos wide receiver Cortland Sutton, another 4-year deal, $92 million extension. So 2 big money moves there. 2 teams from the AFC West keeping their top players. Obviously, we've done our predictions on AFC West in the previous episode. Some might say it was a controversial one. I think we both had different opinions on the Chargers and Broncos, but yeah, Chargers and Broncos in this one, keeping it 2 big players, big money moves, big money contract.
Firstly, I'm a big fan of Cortland Sutton. I think he's a very underrated wide receiver. Big body wide receiver, caught a ton of touchdowns over the last few years, especially with Bo Nix as well. He's a really dynamic player. So he's obviously the Broncos' number 1, and I fancy the Broncos to potentially sneak into the playoffs like they did last year. Depends if Bo Nix is going to be able to recreate, if not improve, on his very, very successful and very impressive rookie season, I have to say. So happy to see Cortland Sutton being paid. Secondly, Gito, back to Rashawn Slater. So obviously he's a very ridiculously rich individual at the moment. But did you see what came out in the news as the news broke? I can't remember if it was Rappaport or someone like that, one of the NFL insiders who reported the deal. Another thing that came out as well is Rashawn Slater. A little bit of news in his personal life. He's recently gone through a divorce.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of trolling going on social media saying two massive deals for Rashawn Slater. He divorced his wife and then he signed this massive contract, so he didn't have to share any of that money with his now ex-wife, I suppose. And I've seen his ex-wife has had to come out on X or Twitter and said, I don't understand why people are putting this spotlight on us and our past relationship. This should
Yeah.
be, this is Rashawn's moment, and I've got nothing to do with this deal and things like that. But it's crazy how involved people tend to get in these players' lives. It's
Yeah.
absolutely wild. I just thought that was, well, very intrusive, I have to say, of people. I don't know how they managed to get this information. But I love that was the first thing that came out immediately after it was announced that Rashawn had signed this, like you said, 115 million deal contract. But I just thought that was absolutely wild.
Yeah, yeah, it was. I've got the tweet here. Stasneep Brown
Yeah.
said that we should focus on what's most important, and that is his career and his success. So, obviously, I think the support is still there. First of all, I hope Rashawn Slater is doing okay. Obviously, not a nice situation to be in, but maybe that 114 mil contract might give him a little smile, a little bit. But yeah, there's some crazy people in this world who just jumps on people's lives, like celebrities, makes stories. It's a ridiculous world we live in, unfortunately, David. But yeah, I thought that was a bit of a random one when that came out, to be honest.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, obviously, any single NFL player that's going to be in the spotlight are an open target for I guess for some trolling. But yeah, I really didn't expect. Like you said, I hope that wasn't a downer on a dampener rather on such an amazing day for him personally. Obviously, becoming one of the highest paid, like you said, O linemen in NFL history. And like you said, the trend is moving on. The bar keeps on moving. And I guess the other thing as well as we've noticed is the difference between the highest paid guards and the highest paid tackles, I feel, is closing. Um, a lot of people say that tackle is a far more important position than guard. And I see why, because they protect the edge, and obviously they protect the edge defenders coming around the edge to target your quarterback. But definitely, you see guards. We saw Trey Smith, didn't we? Of the Chiefs, he got what, a 95 million contract. So the gap is definitely not widening at all. And like we said, we're just going to see these guaranteed monies. We're going to see these multi-million contract deals just going higher and higher and higher. So yeah, but yeah, great to see that that Rashawn and Cortland Sutton have been taken care of by their teams. Anyway, those are the two notable extensions that we have so far. Shall we kind of wrap up to see? Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to talk about some potentially major injuries. Obviously, we're obviously less than 10 days into training camp. We've had some freak injuries happen. But first of all, just before we do that, something to note as well. I think we noticed on the last pod that Trey Hendrickson of the Cincinnati Bengals, he was extremely unhappy with his contract situation. I think it was to do with guaranteed money and the lack of guaranteed money. So he was holding out, and obviously an individual, an NFL player, is fined £50,000 for every day that they don't attend training camp. So obviously that was mounting up. But the goal, obviously, the long-time goal is if you sign a multi-million contract extension, that you'll get the money back anyway. So he hasn't signed a contract. However, he has ended his holdout, so he is in the building apparently. Gito, we don't know. I'm pretty sure that he won't be taking part in any of the training so far because, like I said, he's still in negotiation with the Bengals.
Yeah, yeah. So there's no new deal in place at this moment. Um, but yeah, the Bengals already spent a lot of the money on their two-star wide receivers.
Yeah,
So it'll be interesting to see how this story develops with Trey Hendrickson. I personally don't think he will leave the Bengals. I just have this niggling feeling. Um, I think the Bengals will do everything they can to keep him, but this is a story I think we'll be keeping an eye on for quite a while. Actually, I think this could go on for a few weeks before the start of the season.
yeah.
But he's back in the building now, so I think that's one big positive for the Bengals, having him there. Maybe negotiations are in place. We'll don't know. There's nothing being reported at the moment.
Well, interestingly, he said, Gito, that the reason that he ended his holdout, and it's now a hold-in, as we call it. So now he's in the building, but he's not participating in training camp, which means that he doesn't get fined. If you're there and you don't participate, you can't get fined, which is a clever thing to do, but isn't it the obvious thing to do? So if you're in a holdout, for me, that means that the two parties are nowhere near to coming to an agreement in terms of a contract. So the reason that he came out and I think he talked to reporters about what the reason why he ended his holdout was he didn't want to be a distraction to the team, which is very selfless of him, I have to say.
Yeah.
However, like you said, that he didn't come out and he said, we're a little bit closer. We are negotiating with this. With the two sides are in negotiation. So, like you said, Gito, I wouldn't be surprised if this is going on for the next weeks of training camp into the exhibition season. So, something to look out for. Okay,
Yeah.
let's move on to some major injuries over the last couple of days of training camp. Gito, I'm going to leave it up to you. Which one do you want to start off with? Which one is the biggest or the most major injury that we've had so far, in your opinion?
Yeah, so I think we've got three, maybe four, if you want to go towards the fourth one. We'll speak about that closer.
Yeah,
But the
yeah.
main three, I think we should be concentrating on at the moment. Last week, Justin Fields was carted off with a lower leg injury, which then was reported to be a dislocated toe.
Yes.
But as of the last couple of hours, the last couple of days, he's now back in the building, back in training. I'm not sure what the extent of the training is, if he might still be in a bit of recovery mode, but just a little bit of a setback there for the New Jets quarterback with Justin Fields. Hopefully for them it's nothing too big. I want to see Justin Fields succeed, so hopefully it won't be anything major for him. Another one, this is probably the biggest one so far. Pardon me. The Ravens tight end Isaiah Likely has been reported with a broken foot and is likely to be out for the first few weeks of the season, which is a big shame, really.
That
I
sucks.
understand it's
That really does suck.
yeah. It's probably the biggest one we've got so far.
Awesome,
They've got Mark
awesome
Andrews, of course, in tight
Yeah.
end, but Isaiah Likely, he's a good player as well. He's important for the Ravens, so that's a big setback for the Ravens, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, just quickly. The Ravens, like you said, they favor heavily a two tight end set himself. So Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews, as you say. Isaiah Likely is a phenomenal receiving tight end. Some of the acrobatic grabs that he made towards the end of last season was absolutely ridiculous. He is definitely. Potentially, he has already surpassed a lot of people would say that he surpassed Mark Andrews as the number one tight end. So a big blow for the Ravens there. Like you said, hopefully there won't be a setback in his either surgery or rehab, and he'll be able to potentially come back maybe week 2, week 3 of the regular season, because the Ravens are definitely a different team with Isaiah Likely in their lineup. So yeah, Gito, sorry, carry on.
No, so we've got another one which we gave Darnell Mooney a lot of praise in the last couple of
We
weeks,
did.
and obviously me being a Falcons fan, it pays for me to say that he's been given a shoulder injury. I'm not sure on the extent of the injury, but his status for week 1 is in doubt at the moment, so that's going to be monitored as well. So, yeah, a bit of a blow for the Falcons and the wide receiver room. Obviously, having Drake London and Darnell Mooney as the two partners in wide receiver, that's a really good room. So missing one of them is a big shame. And hopefully by week 1 he'll be ready to go. Big game in week 1 against the Buccaneers. So crossing my fingers on that one. David.
Yeah, like we said, we definitely gave him his flowers, and deservedly so. I thought he was extremely effective. I actually, I was made aware of his contribution after watching QB quarterback on Netflix, and the amount of crucial third down catches, crucial, fourth quarter touchdowns that he scored last season was absolutely ridiculous. And I think he had a really, really good connection with Kirk Cousins. I'm not sure if that continued with when Penix came in towards the second half of the season as well. So like you said, hopefully he'll rehab that shoulder. Don't know, like you said, if it's a clavicle injury, if it's a collarbone. Hopefully he'll be able to rest, and he'll be good for the beginning of the season, because like you said, having that 1-2 punch with Mooney and London is gonna make the Falcons, is why I personally rank the Falcons offense a top 5 unit in the NFL, hands down for me. So yeah, like you said, Gito, those are the 3 main injuries that we've had so far. You did say that there was a 4th. We wondered, were we going to talk about this or not? Because obviously this is going to hit home with a lot of us NFL fans here in Wales. Gito, I'm going to give you the opportunity to reveal to us who's the 4th.
So this has been reported by Wales Online. Maybe not the most trustworthy, but there has been some other tweets as well from other smaller sources. Apparently, a source close to the Jaguars HQ has reported as well. Gave a list of a couple of doubts and injuries for the players, and one of them listed was unfortunately our boy Louis Guizamit with a back injury. No update at the moment on the seriousness of it, but what Wales Online are reporting as is that his NFL future is in doubt due to this injury.
Okay. And the fact that the wording of this statement by Wales Online makes me a little bit skeptical, because like you said, I think wasn't the wording, Gito, that he said on the eve of the start of the NFL season?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first of all, with all due respect, there's a long way to go until the opening weekend of the season, which is on the 2nd week of September. We do have around 6 weeks to go, so I wouldn't really kind of say that we're on the eve of the beginning of the season yet. There's a long way to go. We've got 3 exhibition games. We're only 2nd week of training camp. However, if it is true, the only thing that I would say is surely that sources closer to the Jaguars, potentially the Jaguars would have put a statement out there, even on X or Twitter or something like that, to say that Zammit would be dealing with a back injury. I hope it isn't true. I think we were talking just before we came onto the pod. I have been trying to keep up with the news coming out of Jags HQ. Not a lot of reporting on Zammit himself. I did see a projected 53-man roster for the Jaguars. Unfortunately, that did not include practice squad.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I genuinely don't know where, how often, how many snaps is he getting? Is he getting second or third team snaps? So it's hard to know at the moment. Still early days, like you said. Worth to keep an eye out. But like you said, hopefully that report isn't true. And like I said, I remain skeptical because of the wording. But you never know; it could be true as well.
Yes.
If it is
Yeah.
true, hopefully, like you said, that it isn't serious and it doesn't affect um, his exhibition season, because this is his time to shine. This is his only time before. I mean, this time next month, Gitor, we'll be talking about teams cutting down to their final rosters.
Yeah.
They're cutting down from 90 to 53 individual players, which is, is a huge time for, especially for Zamet, because he's always going to be on the cusp, isn't he? So yeah, we'll try and keep you posted here on the NFL Cymru podcast. So there we are. We've covered all the injuries, Gitor. Just before we go into our predictions to finish off our mini series, um, I kind of wanted to talk about what's been going on with Christian Wilkins over the last couple of days. Christian Wilkins signed a huge 4-year deal. I think it was close to $100 million during last off season, and he signed from the Dolphins. And he signed with the Las Vegas Raiders. He was a former first round pick of the Dolphins in 2020, I believe. But anyway, all of a sudden, by the way, just to give you some context, he missed the majority of last season with a Jones fracture, which is basically a severe foot injury. And then all of a sudden, a couple of days ago, we got the announcement that the Las Vegas Raiders had released Christian Wilkins out of the blue, and more than that, they had cancelled the remaining money that had been guaranteed on his contract. I don't think this has ever happened before. The whole point of having guaranteed money is to protect a player, a bit because of this exact injury and this exact scenario where a player obviously has had a season-ending injury, but obviously has got some guaranteed money. So obviously it was a $24 million deal per season contract, and I think he signed a 4-year deal. Whether there were void years at the end, if not. But anyway, this has actually gone down very poorly, I believe, around the NFL, and Christian Wilkins has lawyered up, and potentially he's going to take the Raiders to court over this, because we're talking about close to, I believe, between 40 and 50 million that he's due because of the contract that he signed last year. There's has been a lot of speculation, Gitter, about why the contract has been terminated. Some say that he refused to have surgery on his foot. However, the wording that I heard, that it actually wasn't it's up to the individual, and it's not up to the team to force the individual to have surgery. Another thing was, I heard that Wilkins wasn't willing to rehab at Las Vegas. He wanted to rehab somewhere else, again, which a player is allowed to do. And then over the last couple of days, we've heard some pretty bizarre things about he was a distraction in the locker room. Another report came out that he kissed a player's forehead, and that didn't go down well with the organization. And a few things have been, one thing led to the other, and now he's been released. So I'm not sure if you've had a chance uh, to think more about this, Gito, but what is your initial thoughts on what's gone down with the Vegas Raiders? First of all, do you see it from the players' perspective, or do you sympathise with the Raiders?
It's definitely something that the Raiders don't want to deal with. They're in a bit of a rebuild. They've got a new quarterback. They've got a new head coach and everything. It's kind of like a new era for the Raiders. They were probably looking forward to the season, but having this in the background of everything, especially for a top player like Christian Wilkins, he's in his prime, 29 years old. I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm not read a lot into it. Maybe it's a bit of an overreaction with the kissing complaint. I'm not too sure. I'm not sure. It just sounds to me like a very messy situation, to be honest with you.
It is really messy.
It could really make or break their season with the Raiders. The fans. I think for the Raiders fans, it's just more drama. Obviously, the Raiders they're always a bit of a controversial team. They're quite loud. They're a loud team. So yeah, this is just something else that they'll have to deal with. Just one thing after another for them, and yeah, I'm not sure on it, to be honest with you. It's to me, it's just a messy situation.
Yeah, it's definitely a bad look on the franchise itself.
Yeah.
Like you said, they've got an owner, Mark Davis. They've got, obviously, Tom Brady now is a part of that ownership as well. Like you said, it's. I think it's a situation that we're going to have to monitor over the season, because there might be some. Like you said, this might be ended up going and finishing as a court case. Christian Wilkins has legaled up, as they say, has lawyered up, and I hear a lot of people saying that there is no way that the Vegas Raiders are going to be able to get away with not paying Christian the remaining of his contract. If he signed a guaranteed contract, there is no way that they're going to get out of paying Christian, $40-50 million that he is due. Which clearly makes sense to me, because surely, what precedent is that going to show to the rest of the other 31 teams? If you sign a guaranteed contract and all of a sudden a team can cut you and can void the rest of the money that is due to you, that technically is not a guaranteed contract. No. Whatever has gone down, I think the Vegas Raiders must have known what type of character Christian Wilkins, because he's very eccentric. I know him very well. He was with the Dolphins for 4 seasons. He is a nasty player. Some say that he's a dirty player as well, but he's that they knew that before they signed him, and that shouldn't change the fact that all of this money is due to him as well. If there's more to this story, then I will reevaluate. But at the moment, I'm definitely with Christian Wilkins, and this is, if somehow the Raiders do get away with this, we're going into uncharted territory here. And what is the meaning of a guaranteed contract? So yeah, like we said, this might be something that we'll have to come back to throughout the season. But at the moment, when I saw it, I was completely stunned. I don't think. Well, first of all, I don't think Wilkins is fit enough to play in the NFL as well, especially maybe towards the beginning of the season. He's going to have to rehab his foot injury, but I think he's going to have plenty of offers from NFL teams to join their franchise. It's been rumoured that maybe the Patriots are going to have a look at him. I don't think the Dolphins will have the cap space, if I'm honest, to bring him back to Miami. But there we are. Anyway, we are half an hour into this pod. Should we finally get to the series, Gito? Should we finish off with ranking the last two divisions that we have? Do you want to start with
Yeah.
the NFC East or the West? What do you reckon?
Yeah, let's end on a high. NFC, we'll go with East. I think East might be the easiest one to predict
Okay.
out of the two, out of East and West. So we'll start off with East. It could be a bit of an interesting one as well, actually. I don't know what you think. We said at the start of the pod, or maybe just before the pod, that one group was easier than the other. I'm not sure if you meant the East was easier than the West. I'm not sure. I think the East for me is an easy one, but there's a little bit of a trickiness in here as well. So I'm going to first of all talk about the Eagles and the Commanders.
Okay.
Eagles obviously defending their Super Bowl. Great season last season. Great way to end the season with the Super Bowl. The Commanders making it all the way to the NFC Championship game. Incredible run. Incredible first season for Jaden Daniels. They've added a new wide receiver, Deebo Samuels, from the 49ers. So their offense looks pretty good. However, I am still thinking that even though the Eagles, they've lost a lot of their defensive players, I still think they're strong enough to win the division. So I'm going to put Eagles in first place and the Commanders in second. The Cowboys in third for me. Not a whole lot to say about the Cowboys, to be quite honest with you. I think they think they're bigger than what they are, and they'll probably get a wins here and there, but at the end they just bluff it, and I don't think they'll do much of an impact, especially in this division. And I don't think the Giants will improve, even though they've got Russell Wilson at quarterback now. And obviously Malik Neighbours as well. He had a terrific first season with the Giants. It might be that the Giants can finish above the Cowboys, but for now, for this, I'm going to go with Cowboys and Giants.
Fair play. Okay. Right. So I think the Eagles and the Commanders this year is going to be very, very similar to what happened between the Lions and the Vikings last year. So both of them won either 12 or 13 games in the regular season. And and I think it came down to potentially one of the last games of the regular season in order to finalize who was going to win the division. Eventually, the Lions spanked the Vikings in the end, but the Vikings still had a ridiculous season with Sam Darnold and co. And I think they won 12 games. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure they won 12 games. So I think the same is going to be replicated here, but with the Commanders and the Eagles. However, I'm going to go out on a whim here. I genuinely think that the Commanders are going to win the division.
Okay. Wow.
I'm a big fan of their acquisitions.
Yeah.
Like you said, Deebo Samuel, Terry McLaurin. Brilliant 1-2 combo. I believe in Jaden Daniels. A lot has been said about the sophomore slump, which can happen to a second-year QB.
Yeah.
However, they have a very, very talented defense. I love their linebacker Warner. I think he's fantastic. I believe in their coaching team of Dan Campbell, their head coach Dan Campbell and Cliff Kingsbury, their offensive coordinator, a former head coach of himself with the Arizona Cardinals. And I don't know what it is, Gito, but sometimes when a team gets really, really close to getting into the Super Bowl, which happened with the Commanders last year, they learn a lot along the way. And I just think I genuinely think that they're going to win the division. But I think that it's going to be close. I think that the Commanders and the Eagles will definitely win more than 10 games in the regular season.
Yeah.
I agree with you that the Cowboys are going to finish third and the Giants are going to finish fourth. Love what you said about Malik Neighbors, by the way. I think that he is the best wide receiver in that division, including Devontae Smith, Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, AJ. Oh my gosh, who is he?
AJ Brown?
AJ Brown, excuse me. AJ Brown of the Eagles as well. I genuinely think that Malik Neighbors has the potential to be the best wide receiver in that division. The Cowboys, however, have CeeDee Lamb, and they now have George Pickens as well. Probably, undoubtedly, a top 5 wide receiver room in the NFL, if you ask me, Gito.
It is.
Dak Prescott, our quarterback. What pieces do they have on defense? Obviously, they have a first-year head coach in Matty Schottenheimer.
Yeah.
And then Russell Wilson as quarterback of the Giants as well. So yeah, I think the Cowboys will probably end up winning 8 or 9 wins.
Yeah, I agree.
Potentially 10. And I think the Giants will probably win 7 or 8. So that for me was okay. I know I've gone with the controversial take of the Commanders winning. However, that I agree that was the easiest of the two. The West for me was much harder than the East. So I'm going to throw it back to you, Guitar. Okay. What are your West rankings?
I'm going to start from the bottom on this one.
Okay.
Cardinals finishing bottom on me. Cardinals in 4th. And I'm going to go with Seahawks in 3rd for me. I'm going to talk about the Rams and the 49ers. I like the Rams. I like I'm a big fan of their quarterback, Matthew Stafford. Even though he's coming to an age now, I think he still has a lot to prove. And I think this season he's going to prove a lot of people wrong, that he still can compete. And he's still one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL today. They've brought in Devontae Adams. I think Devontae Adams will thrive at the Los Angeles Rams. The 49ers, on paper, by stats, by the statistics and everything, they have the easiest schedule in the NFL. They've lost Deebo Samuels, obviously. But looking at their fixture list, and while I was doing these predictions, I do have the 49ers finishing in 2nd and the Rams topping the NFC West. I think the Rams will win about 14 games. I think, which is probably a big jump. I wouldn't be surprised to see 49ers winning 9 or 10 as well. But so yeah, the Rams, the 49ers, Seahawks and Cardinals. I don't have much to say about the Cardinals. I know there's a competition in quarterback room. But yeah, not a lot to say. And obviously Sam Darnold with the Seahawks, obviously a good acquisition, but is he going to repeat the season that he had with the Vikings with the Seahawks? I'm not too sure.
Fair enough. Very interesting. I agree that the Cardinals are going to finish 4th, but I put them 4th reluctantly, I have to say, because I do like a lot of pieces that they have. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to have a better second year. I'm not sure if you've seen pictures of him, Gito, but he's bulked up massively over the off-season. Kyler Murray, for me, is QB1 in Arizona. They really came on towards the mid-season point of last year, and at one point they looked that they were potentially going to threaten to finish in the wildcard positions in the NFC. However, I still think that they have a ways to go in terms of developing. But I could be wrong, and I'd be happy to be wrong, because I do like the ethos of their team. Okay, so this is where we disagree. I have the 49ers finishing third in the division.
Okay. Okay.
Brandon Ayuk is coming off a major injury. Like you said, they've lost Deebo Samuel. George Kittle is still going to be George Kittle, and I hope McCaffrey is going to come back to his star running back quality that he had before his, troublesome injury inflicted season of last year. I'd love to see him back to being, top 3 running back, because I think he's really, really fun to watch. I love to watch him play. Brock Purdy signed a massive extension. I don't trust him myself. I don't trust his O-line either. Obviously they have some fantastic pieces on defense, but I genuinely don't see them having enough, especially with that wide receiver room. Who's going to step up for them? So I have them finishing third. I do have Seattle finishing second. Something tells me that Cooper Kupp and Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to be a nice wide receiver duo there. I see Sam Darnold maybe not replicating what he did with the Vikings, because that is very, very difficult to do. I trust I think their defense is going to be nasty, because their head coach, Mike McDonald, is a defensive guru. And I think that they have enough pieces there to be really, really tough to beat. So which leaves me with the Rams winning the division. For me, Gito, the Rams are the dark horses to win the NFC next year. They came closest to giving the Eagles a run for their money throughout the season last year. I thought Matthew Stafford was absolutely excellent in that divisional round, in the snow, in Philadelphia. Puka Nacua was, unplayable at times. Adding Devontae Adams, fantastic scouting from the Rams. I think that is going to work to a T. Again, Sean McVay, brilliant coaching from the Rams. I love their running back, Kyron Williams. They've got some really, really cool pieces on defense as well. So I agree with you. I genuinely think the Rams are going to win at least 11 or 12, if not 13 games. And if that does happen, they could potentially win the NFC, and they'll be home throughout the playoffs, and they won't have to travel to Philadelphia or Washington or somewhere else, or maybe Atlanta. We don't know. So I really like the Rams this year. Something tells me that there's something brewing over there. But that was the hardest division out of the two. I genuinely didn't know where to place all 4, to be honest with you, because the 49ers I could have easily put them second, and I could have slid the Seattle down to third. Cardinals could have switched them around as well. So it's a really, really fun division. Really, really fun.
Yeah. But I like the Rams this year as well. I will not be surprised if they do get the top 3 seed in the NFC, maybe even top 2. They'll be competing that with, my top pick will be the Eagles, obviously, but I think they'll be competing that with the Eagles. And they're playing in London as well, which I'll be attending the game against the Jaguars, which I'm looking forward. That was probably the main reason why I want to go see that specific game. I do like Matthew Stafford, so seeing him play live would be a tick in the box for myself. But that is quite a tasty division that we got with the NFC West. it will be interesting to see where the 49ers and the Seahawks finish. And the Cardinals as well. Obviously, they did have that little tiny push at the end of last season, so it'll be interesting. They've got great young players that they drafted a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah.
This is where, obviously, the second or third years from the last 2-3 drafts, this is where they're starting to gain that more confidence. They're starting to thrive in the NFL. They're starting to make a name for themselves as well. So it's really exciting to see these new generation of players coming up, and we'll be talking about them for years and years to come.
Agreed. So, now that we finished ranking all the divisions, we're going to finish off this episode. Thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, NFL Cymru Pod on Instagram, YouTube, X. Keep posted, because Gito rather, is going to keep you posted on all the breaking news over the next couple of weeks and days of training camp, as we are around 2.5 weeks away from the exhibition season, which is obviously very exciting. So yeah, just to finish off, Gito, in your opinion, who's going to win the AFC? Who's going to win the NFC this year?
AFC, I think it's between the Chiefs and the Bills. I think I've gone for the Chiefs on this one, but I'm going to give my top two answers just to be safe. I am going to go with Chiefs and Bills. For the NFC, I've got 3 teams. I've got the Eagles, the Rams, and the Lions. I'm going to go with Eagles or the Rams.
Okay.
Yeah, nice. Eagles or the Rams for me. Hopefully the Rams, but yeah, between those two for me.
We're not far apart. However, I'm going to slightly disagree with you for the AFC. I think it's going to be between the Chiefs and the Ravens. Personally, I do think that I think that the Ravens are going to win the AFC this year. Then NFC, I think. Oh, let's do it. I think the Lions are going to win.
Okay.
I genuinely think the Lions are going to win the NFC, and I think that would be good for the NFL in general, because because the Lions have been, let's be honest, one of the laughing stock franchises, along with the Dolphins and others, over the last decade, if not 20 years. And the rebuild that's happened there over the last 5 years since Dan Campbell has taken over. Their 2 coordinators have gone on to become head coaches, Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson. And just the whole story, if you're watching quarterback on NFL, go and watch the story of Jared Goff from when he was traded for Matthew Stafford from the Rams. It's absolutely fascinating. I don't know about you, Gito. I just want to root for them. Yeah. They're just that kind of team, you know. So I genuinely think that the Lions are going to win the NFC. It was definitely it's between the Lions and the Rams for me. But I would if it would have to come down to one, it would be the Lions on the NFC, and it would be Baltimore on the AFC. Yeah.
I think we'd do 2 new winners in the AFC and NFC. Like you said, it would be good for the NFL. It'd be good for the neutrals as well, I think.
Yeah.
Having 2 new teams dominating. So,
it'd
be interesting to see who you think will actually reach the Super Bowl. But I think we should talk about that in a completely different episode.
I agree.
So we'll leave that one for now.
Yeah, we're gonna save that for another time.
Let's end the episode there.
Yes, definitely. Excellent. Oh, Gito, we've covered a lot there, to be honest with you. We have you're now as up to date as we can be on the big moves, the extensions, the injuries, the politics around the NFL, and obviously now we've finished our mini series of ranking each and every divisions. If you strongly disagree with us, please let us know. We find your opinions fascinating because, like you said, obviously it's only a personal opinion at the end of the day. And Injuries obviously play a massive part in the NFL. You know, a QB can go down during the off season, or week 1 or week 2, and the team looks completely different towards the end of the season. That's how it works, and that's why we keep it spicy around the NFL. So it's absolutely fascinating. So yeah, we venture on into week 2 of training camp. Only another 2.5 weeks to go, get until the first exhibition game.
Yeah.
We will thoroughly look forward to that, and we will definitely keep you updated here on the NFL Cymru podcast. Hopefully, like we said, we will have some more information, more positive news out of Jacksonville on Lewis Rizamit, and anything that will be reported, you will hear from us. Maybe not first, but maybe second here on the NFL Cymru podcast. We'll be back in a couple of days' time. Gitter, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Like, subscribe. See you guys on the next one.